Hi everyone, welcome to a Monday market update. I've got three big things to show you and also some other tidbits which I think you'll find valuable for insight. So let's crack straight in. I'm going to show you the Bitcoin volatility index, at least the historical volatility index of Bitcoin, because it's been a pretty good indicator of when we see volatility, which are big moves to the upside or downside. And right now we are at a point where again, historically, we've seen the market move in a really big way. So we're approaching, according to this, a decisive point where we see a large run or a big move to the downside. So I just wanted to bring that up. You can see down here, whenever we are below 25 on the historical index chart. So this is very similar to the VIX in traditional finance, where we see big spikes in volatility. This is very similar. Below 25, this was the 2018 bear market low. This was the COVID low. And now this is where we are at the moment. We closed below 25. We've been grinding underneath. We've bounced back above it, finding resistance if you want to chart this. But all I really want to take away from here is we're under 25. So this shows us that we are in one of those moments. We're approaching a decisive point. If you marry it up to the Bitcoin chart currently, you could make the argument that we are in an accumulation zone very similar to 2008, 2019. There is also an argument that we haven't had the true capitulation yet. This would indicate that either way, we're due for a big move. So it should be very, very exciting. But yeah, if this is the new low, then this would be probably known as the 3 Hours Capital or Luna Tesla low, excuse me, when the big sell-off happened in June. But just very, very interesting that when these lows come in, we generally see a few candles after that and then a big explosion to the upside where we see the move back above. And both these moves over here in terms of volatility are about a 750% move, which would take us something in the range of up here. But I'd say the range high is probably in line here if this does move. Again, a bit hard to chart. I think that, again, the biggest takeaway is that we're in an extreme point of the market very clearly based on-chain, a lot of other metrics, also volatility. So it is difficult, though, to really get a solid read on it because of the macro being the way it is. And we're running into what's going to happen here on Thursday, which is the September inflation numbers, which are forecast to increase. So if the CPI numbers come in higher, then Bitcoin's going to run into a bit of turbulence, so are altcoins and all that, where we could absolutely see the volatility. Now, the other side, the upshot of that is if the numbers come in below forecast or below expectation, what everyone thinks, if it's very, very clear that inflation and CPI is dropping, I think we see a big move. So that really lines up in terms of volatility. We do want to see, though, that the CPI core inflation is actually dropping as well, in terms of if you're looking towards the Fed pivot and that side of things. But just in terms of the general market sentiment, I want to see that inflation is dropping month on month, which it has the last 2 months in terms of CPI. We want to see that trend continue. You can also pause on this chart if you like. We've got all the major events in terms of these blue lines that are running up, and you just see Bitcoin price as it's moving into this 145-day box. It's almost 3/4 of the way through, and this 145 days signifies what we saw back in 2000 and end of 18 to 19 before Bitcoin rallied. So there are generally phases in this market that rhyme. They don't always repeat, but they do often rhyme. And 145 days was about the time that it took from the breakdown of this horizontal to the breakout. Again, it's probably not going to play out exactly the same way. It could really surprise us and do something different, sure. But until that happens, we're just going to use this box in terms of a sideways crabbing accumulation until maybe a bounce out. But you can see this turbulence that's likely to run into all these different inflation numbers, interest rate rises and all that. Obviously, they need to either come in neutral or positive for risk markets to really rally. There also does come a point where all the doom and gloom and negativity eventually gets priced in by markets. Are we seeing that? Everyone's expecting us to have another massive crash like 2008, or and it to be leading into Bitcoin and crypto as well, to have another leg down to 12,000, 15,000. Is that going to happen in this environment? I'm not sure, and we'll get into the old narratives and new again in a sec. Just want to pivot on over to old XRP. We had it as a cherry ripe in the altcoin Bible, and it has beautifully broken out of that bull flag that we had, or pennant. It broke out beautifully, retested the zone there, which you absolutely wanted to see. I'll turn off the guppy. But yeah, that's what you want to see in a breakout, because a lot of people will just FOMO in as soon as it breaks out and they'll get chopped up using leverage and whatnot. You really want to wait for the retest of support if you're looking at a pattern or a horizontal. It did that 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it had that nice little blast off. Again, a lot of FOMO came in probably into this chart as well, and it had a bit more of a cooling off back to the volume profile, and then it exploded. So this, since our altcoin Bible, has had a really, really good run. That's about 13% from the breakout there, and if you got it in some of these areas, you'd be even happier. But it shows you, even in bear markets, there are short-term opportunities, and it's absolutely something we're focusing on in the mastermind Discord. So just keep that in mind. The XRP still looks good. If it can pull back to say this high here and hold, and then it looks like it could move higher, but we'll see, especially with Thursday coming up, with Bitcoin volatility potentially coming up as well. This could see a little bit of turbulence. So with the altcoins, especially in bear markets, you do generally want them to be a little bit more short-term in nature and have nice tight stop losses managing your risk. Just wanted to highlight XRP there being or looking quite good since our altcoin Bible. So those signals are generally pretty good. And it's funny, when I'm trading, I generally, I'm not really paying attention to my altcoin Bible. But if you go back and have a look, because I'm sort of looking at them without much bias, generally you can get a good read on it. If you have money on the line, things generally change a little bit. Now, I'll just pull this up here because I don't know why it's reloaded. Sometimes it does it for me, but I'll bring up what I wanted to show you, which was the old narrative is new again. So the old narrative being that Bitcoin, gold, and all that is the insurance policy on central banking gone wild, and the current financial system breaking apart, fiat currency debasement, all that. So what we're seeing very clearly here, and I've got on the daily, I mean, I could go to the weekly, but both gold and Bitcoin similarly in a multi-month downtrend. Bitcoin's a bit more advanced, trades 24/7, so a lot of the price action can actually compress. Historically, when it's been mirroring gold, generally Bitcoin is a little bit more advanced because it is leading most of risk. But if we're looking at these two charts, they both encompass the same narrative, and they are trying to break out of a downtrend and move higher. If they both can do that based on the normal Bitcoin chart and the accumulation zone, if inflation fears are slowly getting through, and the Fed will eventually have to pivot, markets getting more forward looking, expect these two charts to run pretty much in unison. Bitcoin running harder, of course, just based on multiple things. Coin market cap, its market cap, and also how quickly historically it can run. But yeah, watch these two, because the old narrative is new again. I think what happened in England with the Bank of England bailing out the pension funds, it woke up a lot of people again to the fact that fiat currencies do eventually self-annihilate over a longer term time horizon. Central banks are going to do a lot more intervention. They've really stuffed up the whole low interest rates for too long, and negative interest rates in some instances, and now trying to raise rates in a period where we've got too much debt to GDP just globally. So yeah, in a lot of a pickle. But watch these two charts. If they both break out, expect the market to move in another direction, and we may try and decouple away from a lot of this current macro stuff with the Fed and all that. Not saying it's not going to affect these markets anymore, but they might start to get quite a strong bid behind them, and absolutely the Bitcoin bottom would be in, I think, in that situation. You really want a good narrative behind things, brings in new buyers. Same with gold, not getting much love at all, but it is an institutionalized asset class and has a lot of trust over hundreds and hundreds of years. That is where a lot of the money will go to hedge themselves from debasement and central bank and intervention and all that. So just keep that in mind. All right, Mastermind, if you are watching this, and if you're a VIP client or a graduate client, or not even a client, if you just want to know what we're sort of up to these days, Mastermind clients, please keep in mind that we have our Mastermind bi-weekly tomorrow night on Tuesday. And as well, we've got Steve-O, who is our technical analyst. He has done an amazing set of videos on actually how to short this market and also long this market, but he actually released a live trade, so you can follow what he did there. He'll also likely be doing weekly updates for us in terms of videos and top 3 trading opportunities and how we play them. He'll drop that in the Mastermind Discord as well. So guys, if you're interested in what we do, this is what we do at that next level. So just keeping you informed. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'd be happy to answer them, or the team can get to them as well. Yeah, have a wonderful day.